This is the Bears Barroom Radio Network, and we're brought to you by the Verdoliak Law Group, fighting insurance companies since 1963, and BetChicago.com, your source for all of Chicago's sports and betting news. Bears on Tap is recorded live and intended for all audiences, and it's brought to you by TickSplits.com, where Bears fans buy tickets.
Play of the drive. Brady on a quick hitter. They got the first down. Edelman still going. He takes it in. Touchdown, Patriots. Edelman would not go down. Adrian Amos could not bring him to the ground.
Cody Parkey from the left hash will try a 46-yard field goal. Out of the hold of Pat O'Donnell. Snap is down. Kick is up. End over end. Rising to the uprights. It is good here at Soldier Field. 3:50 to go first quarter. The Bears tighten things up. They trail 7-3. Just shy of the 8-yard line. It is 3rd down and 6. Snap is back. Trubisky rolling to his right. Here comes the pressure. Tries to evade. Circles all the way back to his 30. Looking to set his feet. Now he's going to keep left 20, 15, 10, 5. With a blocker in front. He is in for the touchdown. Cody Whitehair leading the way. Blew up his defender. And the Bears have the lead. 9-7 at Soldier Field. 2nd and goal, 3-yard line. Trubisky out of the gun, handing off. Jordan Howard bulldozing into the end zone. Touchdown! Touchdown Bears! South End are up 16-7. Bears on the 2-yard Howard run.
From the 5, Patterson. He's got track level speed. Patterson is gone. 95 yards. Cordero Patterson. Touchdown.
Brady, 3rd and goal at the 5, down by 3. 4 minutes to go in the half. Snap, Brady looking left. Brady bouncing around. Brady has to throw right. Gets away from Floyd. He's in for the touchdown. On a throw to James White. And the Patriots reclaim the lead.
Trubisky, quick hitter. Caught by Cohen. Takes it to the outside. Hits the pylon. Great move by Cohen for the touchdown.
Here's the kick by Gostkowski. It is up. It is good. We're tied at 24 on a 29-yard try.
It's lost. Ball trying to get scooped up by New England, and they do. Going in for the touchdown, Van Noy. Patriots go in front. On special teams, Dante Hightower comes firing through for New England. Patriots go empty now. White will shift. Give it to him. White. The angle and the touchdown for the Patriots.
4:17 to go in the game. Bears trying to make it a one-score affair. They're down 38-24. Cohen to the right of Trubisky. Takes the snap. Sets to throw. Winds up. Right side end zone. Touchdown Burton. Touchdown Bears. 38-30 New England.
Desperation mode for Chicago. Rush coming. Trubisky uncorks. Deep ball on the way. It is caught. But he couldn't get in. Stopped at the 1. The Bears will fall short. It is Kevin White. They needed 55 yards. They got 54.
To me, it's pretty simple. Anytime, I don't know what the numbers are, but anytime you give up 2 special teams touchdowns, I can't imagine the numbers are too good in regards to winning that game. So that hurt us. With that said, we could have played better in a lot of different areas. Give credit to the Patriots for playing a great game. They got great players, great coaches, and it just goes to show that we got a ways to go. We fought to the end, which I do like, but we got a lot of things to fix, and we'll certainly get to that.
Cheers, Bears fans! This is Bears on Tap, and you just heard head coach Matt Nagy of the Chicago Bears talking about all the things that went wrong, blaming things first and foremost on special teams, but also on other areas which Danny Shimon and I will go over. My name is Aldo Gandia, and the Bears did indeed lose to the New England Patriots 38-31 at home, Soldier Field. Danny, we have a lot to cover here, and I just want to begin by saying this. This team right now needs to learn how to tackle, They need to learn how to play 4 quarters. They need better coaching decisions during the game. They need to shore up their special teams, which was abhorrent. They need to do a lot of things. Yet, despite all that, I still have faith in this team. I know you've got a lot to complain about, Danny, but I want to know first and foremost, where's your faith level with the Chicago Bears right now? Is it anywhere near mine? And mine is still high.
Good evening, Aldo. Yes, I do have. I still have faith in this team. I don't know if it's high as yours. I'm not sure how high yours is, but listen, we knew this was a young team coming in. This is a team that's going to be relying heavily on their defense and with an offense that's young and developing. But just like head coach Matt Nagy said there in that clip, I mean, he summed it up perfectly. You cannot give up 2 special teams scores to the New England Patriots, along with other mistakes they made during the game, and expect to win, even with their probably one of the better offensive weapons, Gronkowski not playing today. So that just was something. When you see that, you're like, you just know it wasn't going to be the Bears' day. But however, they did still keep fighting, and they still were 1 score away from actually 1 yard away from tying this game up towards the end of the game. So again, all 3 losses for the Bears this year have been by a 1-score loss. So it's not like they're getting blown out or they're getting overwhelmed by other teams. It's just like you said, although I think you did a great job of summing it up as well. It's a young team learning how to win. They need to know how to close. And I think, the defense that, we were praising for the first 4 weeks of the season needs to, stop reading their press clippings and just start maybe, producing more on the field. So, but yes, I mean, I'm still confident in this team. I still think they're a young developing team, and I still think they're trending upward. So, by no means am I, throwing in the towel or anything like that. I just would like to see them start, finishing off these games and actually, putting together complete, games, 4 quarters worth of game film. So, again, tough loss, but just got to move on.
We're going to go over all of the things that went wrong. We're going to try to cover all of them or as many as possible, and I'm sure the people in the chat room will help us by pointing out things that we neglect to talk about in terms of what went wrong. But there were some things that went right, and as you said, these losses, these 3 losses this season have been close games. 3 losses by a combined 11 points. And when you're talking about a dynasty team, the New England Patriots coming to Soldier Field and playing a young Chicago Bears team with a rookie head coach who's a rookie offensive play caller too, because he's never had a full season of calling plays. When you talk about a quarterback who has not so many NFL starts, when you talk about all of the aspects of this Chicago Bears team, you take a more macro look at it and you kind of say, you know what, it looks like it's going to happen. I still have belief in that. And then listen to what Mitch Trubisky said after the game, which to me gives me hope with this team.
I mean, close doesn't cut it, and I think that's good that Coach Nagy is hard on us because there's a new standard here, and coming up 1 yard short and not tying the game and going to the overtime, that's not good enough anymore. We got to make the plays throughout the game that not only give us a chance to win, but we're wiping teams off the field. We take a lot of pride in protecting Soldier Field, and we didn't do that today. So there's a different standard. So we want Coach to be hard on us. We're hard on ourselves and each other, and it's not good enough anymore to come up short. We're letting each other down. We're letting our fans down, and we don't want to do that. So there's a new standard, and we love how Coach Nagy has set the bar high for us, and we know we could reach it and go get it every single week. So we just got to get better and accept the challenge.
What do you think, Danny?
I agree. I mean, it's definitely, in terms of Mitch, it's definitely you see the progress, slowly but surely. Unfortunately today, it's just his deep ball accuracy was just off. I don't know if it was his mechanics, I don't know if it was the weather, the conditions and whatnot. I mean, to me, it looked, it didn't look like he was pressured. It didn't look like he was harassed. It looked like he had plenty of time in the pocket. It's just that anything 20 yards or more downfield, it just seemed like he was off. I saw 2 or 3 passes to Anthony Miller alone, where if he had let him, Miller had been being his man. He had over the top, leverage. And if he just leads them down the field, hits them in stride, those are 3 scores right there. So, again, did Trubisky have a great game today? No, he did not. He had a better half. He had a better. His first half was better. Using his feet. Getting those extended plays, those that long touchdown run and continuing drives than he did using his arm. But then in the second half, he kind of made up for it. Made some nice throws. But altogether, just as his accuracy downfield today was just off, and it just wasn't there. So but we've seen it before, right? We see it against Tampa Bay. We've seen it in the second half against Miami, where he hits those dime balls down the field, hits guys in stride. So it's just a matter of living with. This is what it is, living with a developing young quarterback. You're going to have those good days, those bad days. The key is getting all those mistakes out now and getting them to be more consistent on a week in and week out basis. So, was he good today? Some say yes, some say no. I mean, he did attribute 3 touchdowns, 2 passing and 1 and run rushing. He had 2 interceptions. Both of them were pretty good plays by defensive backs, but he could have had 2 more interceptions that were dropped by the New England secondary. So overall, I think he had a mixed game. But again, you see another aspect of his game developing. His ability to scramble and create yardage with his feet. That's more things now he puts out on tape that other defensive coordinators coming down the line are going to have to think about. All right, this kid can get out. This guy can scramble. He can hurt us with his feet. It's one other thing that Nagy can now use in his back pocket in order of attacking defenses. So some good, some bad. Again, a young developing quarterback is just now, like he said, and like Coach Nagy said, and like you were saying, it's just now putting it all together and just getting more consistent with it and hopefully, churning out victories.
Many of the things you just said, Coach Matt Nagy said in his post-game conference. He was very, very defensive about his quarterback. Listen to some of the comments.
It felt like Mitch was a little bit out of rhythm early. What was your sense of his performance early on?
Yeah, early on, it wasn't just Mitch. Trust me, there was a lot of people that were out of rhythm. So I thought that Mitch played a game. There's a lot of things that you guys won't see on tape that I will see, and he was really good. He had a really good game mentally. He made good decisions. There's a couple passes that he made where he was the first to come off and say, shoot, I shouldn't have made that throw, right? And so that I like because he's knowing that. But there was a lot of and there was a lot of throws where he gave some guys chances. We had some drops early on. We had some big drops. And again, this is collectively. So everybody in there, we all need each other to make plays. And so, but overall, from start to finish, I was really. I mean, you saw he was using his legs. And that's a huge weapon. When you use your legs, that's a killer to the defense. And he made some great decisions of not throwing the football, using his legs and scoring a touchdown. And so I came away pleased with how he played. And it's unfortunate because I think overall in all 3 phases we just weren't good enough. And anytime you give up 2 touchdowns. And oh, by the way, it's the Patriots with Tom Brady. Your chances are slim.
It felt like Mitch's accuracy was off today. So you're saying it wasn't?
No. Well, there was a couple throws. I'd say to your answer, yes. There was a couple throws where I think, no, he was right on. So when you throw the ball 50 times, there's going to be some that are inaccurate. This is this kid's second year in the NFL, and this is his first year in our offense. So not everything is going to be dead on. He had a good game today.
Kind of weird,
wow.
Right?
I don't disagree with. I mean, I don't agree with him at all on those. Okay, so Trubisky had 50 pass attempts. You're the play caller, right? Exactly. He doesn't have to throw the ball 50 times if you just give Jordan Howard the ball 15 or 20 times a game. I mean, Howard again. I mean, I don't want to be out here. I'm not a play caller. I'm not a coach. But again, my one of my keys this morning before the game, I tweeted out. I said, without Gronkowski, you still have to make sure you defensively you have to cover Gordon and James White. Those guys are the 2 big playmakers on offense for them. Defensively, offensively, you got to keep the ball away from Brady and company, and that is by running the ball, pounding it in between the numbers there, in between the tackles, and use your short passing game as an extension to your running game. It's one thing to say he threw the ball 50 times, but you're the play caller, and at no point were the Bears down. Later on they're down by 2 scores, but there was no point in the game where they were in a must-throw situation, right? You could still have churned the ball and kept pounding the ball with Jordan Howard. And then in terms of, going back to what he said about Trubisky not having bad throws, I mean, he had plenty of bad throws today, and again, his accuracy downfield was off. He should have thrown probably 4 interceptions if those Patriots make those catches. But again, this game, Trubisky didn't lose this game for the Bears. All right, this game was lost, in my opinion, on special teams. You do not give the Patriots 2 special teams touchdowns and expect to beat them. Simple, plain and simple. That's it.
Totally agree that it was special teams. Without those 2 touchdowns, the Bears probably win this game. But let's get back to your point about the play calling, because you're absolutely right. He's the one that called the 50 plays. And when he was asked about the run game and whether he was happy with it, and he asked if Trubisky was an extension of the run game, this is what he said.
And if Mitch is running with the ball like that, therefore, are you happy with the run game overall?
No. Our run game needs to improve. Yeah, that's we got some yards with him running the ball, but to me that's a scramble, and that's him making something happen. That's him growing as a quarterback. But our run game has to get better. And again, it's everybody. It's everybody, and we just need to figure out how we can do that. What's best for us, identity-wise, and it's not one person.
I don't think that's still coming together.
Here's
the team. They rushed the ball 25 times, right, and that includes 6 rushes from Trubisky and 1 from Taylor Gabriel. So you had 18 rushes from your running backs.
Right.
If you expect them to run the ball better, give them the ball. I mean, this is why, like I said, I'm not a coach, and I'm not gonna sit here and question his play calling. But if you're gonna sit here and tell me he threw the ball 50 times, you're the reason he threw the ball 50 times. He doesn't have to throw the ball that many times. If you're saying the run game's got to get better, you got to give these guys the ball more. I mean, Jordan Howard is a guy who gets better as the game goes along. He just keeps pounding and pounding away at the defensive line, and eventually in the third, fourth quarters, you see him breaking those 10, 12, 15-yard runs. Yeah, he might not be flashy. He might not be a guy that'll take a ball 50-yard and just go to the house, but he's a guy that is effective just pounding it in between the tackles. And then, of course, you have Tariq Cohen there to offset him with some of those outside runs and in other ways. So, but I mean, if you don't want Trubisky to throw the ball 50 times, don't call them. Don't call those plays. And if you want the run game to improve, call more run plays. Give the ball to your running backs. This is why I get a little bit excited and a little confused as to he's saying one thing, but then something else is happening on the field. I don't get it.
Well, it's just like AirJair54 says in the chat room. Maybe he should show a little dedication to the run game. And that's what I was going to say. He needs to have patience with the run game. And it's not just Matt Nagy. It's so many of the NFL coaches now are just don't have patience for the run game. They lose a yard or they gain 2 yards, and it's just not enough. We got to put the ball in the air, and we've got to make something happen bigger. And it's like an epidemic, the lack of respect for what the run game can do. The old defensive saying of there's 3 things you need to do on defense, and that is stop the run, stop the run, stop the run. No, those days are over with. Forget about the run, because now it's stop the pass, stop the pass, stop the pass. That's the new NFL.
It's unbelievable. I mean, it really is. So that's one thing. Is like, and that your you have to keep one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time off the field. What's a better way to keep him off the field by controlling the ball? Having time possession and keeping your defense fresh. And then once you saw that your defensive front was not getting to Tom Brady and that they were getting the ball out quickly, it's even more of an emphasis there. Hey, let's get the ball, keep the ball out of this guy's hands, give our defense some more time to rest. And this is the way you do it, is by just running the ball. At no point, like I said, in this game where the Bears down by double digits until late in the fourth quarter, that they needed to abandon the run and just start throwing the ball. So that's not an excuse you could use. You got to, if you wanted to, you could have continued to use, implement the run game in your play calls. That's the one thing. It's one thing if you're the head coach and you have a different offensive coordinator who's making all the play calls, and you can go back and say, all right, we need to fix the run game. But you're the play caller and you're the head coach. You can adjust this play, this play sheet as you wish, as you want. For him to say, we need to run the ball better, and Mitch can't throw the ball 50 times, and you know what? That's on you. That is on you, head coach, and you need to change that.
one of the plays that really bothered me about Mr. Trubisky it could have been the game winning, or at least a key play, was the interception that he threw when he missed Anthony Miller on that corner route. This is what Trubisky said about that play.
It was good play by their defense. I thought I could have put it out there a little further. I loved Anthony's route he ran, and I threw it a little later than I wanted because I had to check protection to make sure. I gave a slide call to make sure we could pick up the blitz that they brought through, and I just bounced back to the other side. So it was a little later than I wanted to be, but I thought he ran a great route. Loved how he take it high, and I just got pushed out there a little further. But it was a 50-50 ball, and he had a chance to get it, and the other guy had a chance to get it, and the other dude made a great play. So it was just, you wish those go in your favor. Sometimes they do, sometimes you don't. But I'm going to continue to trust my guys, give them chances, and be aggressive. So I think I could get the ball to 1-7 a lot more. He's a mismatch problem, and he runs really good routes man to man. So I thought I could have went to him more today.
There's a couple of things in that soundbite, maybe 2 or 3 things that I want to try to dissect.
Yeah, I know what you're heading to. Where he goes, it's a 50-50 ball, and the guy made a great play. So is he trying to imply that Anthony Miller had a chance to knock the ball down? Well, Anthony Miller had a step or 2 on the guy, and he's trying to go in for the touchdown. If you throw the ball ahead or to him accurately, like you said earlier, put it out in front of him, he catches the ball. It's an easy touchdown for him. So, he has to stop and come back and now adjust to the ball. And now you expect him to go up there and make a play on the ball. Throw the ball in rhythm to him, lead him, and it's a touchdown.
I still think Anthony Miller could have made a better play on the ball. This guy is known for his acrobatic catches and so forth. That defender just outmuscled him for that ball. But having said that, what I wanted to say is that Mitch said that he had to pre-snap make a protection call to slide protection over to make sure that they were picking up the blitz. Matt Nagy said the same thing, that there was some miscommunication on the offensive line prior to the snap of the ball. So my question for you, Danny, is when that happens prior to the snap of the ball, does that mess with the quarterback's internal timing on that play? Could that may perhaps have led to him underthrowing that pass by a foot or 2?
Well, if he identifies it pre-snap and he gets the protection over there to protect it, I got to go back and see the play. And I'm not sure if he was pressured. I don't remember offhand if there was anybody in his face or not. But if he calls this, if he recognizes it, he sees it, and it looks like he did, and he adjusts the blocking scheme to go over and slide over and pick up that blitz. Unless the blitz wasn't picked up, and in terms of the back or whoever was picking up the blitzer, and that guy came through free. Right now, I can't remember if there was a guy in his face or not. But still, if you have trust in your line and in your blockers, they're going to pick up that blitz. Your concentration is strictly downfield in getting that ball to the receiver. So, again, it's a tough call, but I just think that if that ball was thrown a little bit further out, that's a touchdown. Now, could he have been, worried about maybe it's his protection picking up the blitzer? We'll have to go back and look at the tape again. But it's hard to determine that, just off of the game film right now. But to see what he was thinking about, as that moment it was happening. But again, the only thing I can think of, if that is the case, he's just worried that his line didn't get his check, and then or whoever is picking up the blitzer might not, pick him up, and that guy might come in free. And so he's got his eye to see if that guy gets picked up first, and that kind of takes his eye off of Miller and the other receivers downfield, and that can kind of delay his throwing motion. So
my other question regarding this is, why such inefficiency in throwing to the wide receivers today? At one point in the game, in the third quarter, there were only 2 passes caught by wide receivers. This was horrendous. Yeah, that's a good point. And the other thing was, the flip side, it was finally Trey Burton was a focal point of this offense. So I don't know if that was by design or if that's just the way Trubisky seemed to go throughout the game. I did notice that anything intermediate, in terms of checkdowns or crossing routes in the middle of the field, he was, pretty much on point and hitting the guy in stride. And a lot of times, Trey Burton was wide open in the middle of the field, so a lot of times he was taking advantage of that. So I'm not sure if that's the game dictated it or if that was by design. But obviously Trey Burton was a big emphasis in this offense today. Danny, it was by design because I tweeted out before the game that the Patriots have been giving up passes over the middle at one of the worst rates in the NFL. That's where their defense is the most porous. And so clearly Matt Nagy and Mitch Trubisky went into this game knowing that they were going to be hitting Trey Burton open over the middle, and the guy was open time after time after time again. And so perhaps the Patriots wanted to take away Taylor Gabriel, wanted to take away Allen Robinson, who was mostly ineffective because of an injury that flared up on him again. But, it's still, even though Belichick may have been trying to take away Trubisky's connection with the wide receivers, particularly Taylor Gabriel, I just still find it really, really frustrating that there was this lack of effectiveness with Trubisky and the wide receivers, particularly when you look at that play with Anthony Miller. That should have been a short touchdown. So. Right. Very, very
that wasn't the only one. There was a couple other ones where Miller had been this guy, one-on-one, and if the ball was placed ahead of him or towards him, there was one ball that was behind him. You had to reach back and turn all the way back to get the ball, and that ball was broken up. And another one where same thing happened. He had over the top leverage on the guy, and if the ball is placed out in front, he goes and gets it. So when I was watching the game, it just seemed like anything 20 yards or more downfield, for whatever reason, it just seemed like Trubisky was off today. And, whether that was the way they were playing in terms of the defense, if they're shading to one side of the field or whatnot, I'm not sure. But he was trying to get the ball in between, first and second levels of the defense. So he's, getting a little bit too much on the ball, a little, not as much on the ball. He's trying to drop it in there. I'm not sure. But anything 20 yards or more downfield, it just seemed like he was off today in terms of his accuracy.
Anything else about the offense before we talk defense?
I mean, other than, I like the way that Trey Burton, again, was a focal point of this offense. It's proved today that, what we were talking about all offseason, this guy can be a weapon on offense. I like I said, Trubisky, his use of his scrambling ability to be able to put that on tape now. That's going to put more pressure on defensive coordinators to say, all right, make sure this guy, doesn't get out of the pocket. If he does, he can hurt us. That could, now have defensive coordinators actually, assign a linebacker or a safety to actually spy on Trubisky, and that takes one guy out of coverage. So those are good things. They put up 31 points against the Patriots. Again, the offense, really didn't seem like it was stalled. They hurt themselves a couple of times, but they are productive. Again, what I like to see more is just continue to use Jordan Howard. Again, 12 carries. I don't think he's had more than 15 carries in a game this season. So, that's a guy back there that I think is a workhorse that you can utilize, is actually being underutilized at this moment. So that's one area of concern there. I think the offensive line played well today. I know they're still rotating Eric Kush and James Daniels in. But I think that they made some progress in terms of the run blocking, especially at the goal line. I mean, there was one play, I think the Jordan Howard touchdown, where they just James Daniels and Leno did a pretty good job of moving the line of scrimmage, and also Leno sealed off the end and paved a nice lane for Howard to go in there for the score. So I think the offensive line played well. Trubisky was back there plenty of time, dropping back and with time to scan the field and plenty of time to throw the ball. It wasn't pressured that much. I think he only gave up 1 or 2 sacks, if I'm not mistaken, today. So I think the offensive line is getting better and better each week. I like the utilization of Trey Burton. Tariq Cohen wasn't as involved as I thought it was going to be today. And of course, the receivers, Allen Robinson, re-injured that groin, it seemed like. I don't think if anything official came out after the game in terms of Allen Robinson and his injury, but again, Anthony Miller, beat his guy a couple times, couple good throws. He could have a couple scores there. So, offense is evolving, guys. This is a loss. This is a frustrating loss, but they're getting better and they're starting to click. And we're seeing Trubisky, put it together in chunks, but not all together in pieces. So, again, don't take this. My criticism today about his accuracy downfield being like a negative. It's just one more thing that he's going to have to develop and get better at. So, again, it's a developing quarterback, young quarterback. We're going to have to, kind of put up with his growing pains here. But I think the offense is continuing to show signs of improvement, signs of gelling and becoming a cohesive unit, one that's going to continue to put up points against any defense, in the league.
You mentioned Tariq Cohen. To me, I thought he made some really terrible decisions with the football in this game, where he would just, it almost seems like sometimes he doesn't see the field well, and he just uses that incredible cutback and stop and go ability very haphazardly. And that's another reason why Matt Nagy should be relying on Jordan Howard more for the runs on this for the running game, because Cohen, to me, he's more of a gadget player, and I just don't think that they should be giving him the ball more than they're giving it to Jordan Howard. That, to me, is a huge mistake. All right, it is time to talk about the defense, but before we do, I want to let people know about TixBlitz. TixBlitz.com, and I had a little help earlier this evening from Bears Girl. This is what we put together. You know what, Bears Girl? Win or lose, the Bears are playing really exciting football.
And we got the best place to buy your game tickets, Aldo.
Get your tickets now at TixBlitz.com. They have the best ticket selection with great prices and no service fees. The price you see is the price you pay.
You heard that right, Bears fans. No service fees.
Right now, TixBlitz.com is having a flash sale. Use the promo code FLASH5 for 5% off your tickets.
That's TixBlitz.com. TixBlitz.com.
They also have tickets for concerts, other sports, music festivals, and it's the barroom's favorite place to buy Bears tickets.
TixBlitz.com, where Bears fans buy tickets.
All right, you know where to go. TixBlitz.com to get your tickets for concerts, for Bears games, all sporting events. Go to TixBlitz and also follow them on Twitter so you can stay on top of what they're offering. All right, now it is time to talk about this Chicago Bears defense. You know what was incredible post-game? Matt Nagy was not asked one single effing question about the defense, which would have been probably the second question I would have asked. What the hell is going on with the tackling on this football team? This is the second straight game that it was atrocious, simply atrocious. What's going on here, Danny?
That's a good point, because I think the media thinks that because he's the offensive play caller and that he's the de facto offensive coordinator, that all he worries about is the offense. This guy is the head coach.
Right.
So if you have questions about the defense, you need to ask him. You have questions about special teams, you need to ask him. Well, that's another thing that I was pretty disconcerting in terms of the post game, getting some information off them. So because they basically wait till Wednesday to talk to Fangio before they ask any defensive questions. But anyway, get back to your original question. I don't know if this team was just reading their press clippings, after their first 4 weeks and going into that bye week, and they're thinking that they're the 85 Bears out there and whatnot. But again, the safeties, didn't have a great game today. Missed tackles there. There were some missed tackles in terms of the up front. Like the first. It was interesting. The first drive by the Patriots, right? They come out and you can just see how they planned this game, right? They said, all right, let's see if Khalil Mack is 100%. So what they're going to do, they came out and they started dinking the ball real quick, quick hitters, getting the ball out of Brady's hands to see what kind of pass rush the Bears generate. Once they saw, Mack wasn't, the typical Mack, then they started going down deep more down the field, So, and then of course, Sonny Michel, the rookie, was before he got hurt, he was gashing the Bears in that first drive as well. So, the offensive line of the Patriots was moving the Bears defenders off the point of attack, which is kind of disconcerting. The only guy that flashed to me in front was the rookie Bilal Nichols. Again, Hakeem Hicks had nothing today. He only had 2 tackles, I believe. Mack, we know he was dealing with that ankle, so again he was pretty much limited out there. And then Leonard Floyd, I've stayed off of his case. He was on a good trajectory last season, got injured, came into this season, and broke his hand, and now it's 2 weeks in a row now. He doesn't have a cast on his hand, but he doesn't generate pressure. I mean, he was a guy we were leaning on prior to Khalil Mack trade to being our pass rush guy, and he's not able to generate anything. And somehow today he got stuck in coverage on James White in the goal line, and White just shook him off like no tomorrow. Got wide open for that touchdown. So it's time for Leonard Floyd to step up. It's you're a first round pick, you're a top 10 pick. Before we gave you the injuries and the fact that you're a slender build and you have to put on weight. Now you got Khalil Mack playing across from you. So basically, with Khalil Mack being not 100%, we have no pass rush. And that's the thing that kind of really surprised me, is because you kind of know what Tom Brady's kryptonite is. It's pressure up the middle, pressure in his face, right? The Giants proved that a couple years ago. So if you get pressure up his face, with Hakeem Hicks and Eddie Goldman and Bilal Nichols up front, and then I expected them to do some more blitzing as well in terms of the linebackers with Roquan and Danny Trevathan, up the A gap to try to get some of that pressure in Brady's face to try and rush his throws or get him. The couple times where he was sacked, what happened? Nichols gets in there and Brady just drops onto the ground because he wants no part of that. He cannot. That's what affects him most, because it's not the pressure from the outside. Because if the pressure from the outside comes up, he just literally steps up in the pocket and finds his open receiver. But that pressure in his face, it allows him to collapse the pocket on him, and he just can't get away and can't escape. So that was a little disconcerting that Hicks and some of the guys up front couldn't get that pocket pushed back into Brady's face, and surprised that there weren't a lot of more blitzing done up the A gap to create some of that pressure when you saw your pass rushers weren't getting to Brady. So those were, and again, the missed tackles again were an issue as well, like you mentioned. So not a great performance, but again, of the 38 points, 14 were given off of special teams, so they held them to 24 points. But it's just something that I wish they would have obviously played a better game, but. I can't explain the missed tackles. I mean, I know you are attributing it to conditioning possibly, but I mean, last week we used the Miami Heat as possibly an excuse for it, but Detroit went down there this week. Detroit had no problem, shutting down Brock Osweiler and the rest of that Miami offense and playing in that South Beach Heat. So I don't know. It's something that I think that they go get back to the basics and just start, I don't know what their practice habits are, but they got to start doing some more tackling drills apparently, because they are missing way too many tackles.
And what's particularly frustrating about the tackling is when Vic Fangio was asked about it at Thursday's press conference, he's not a very good communicator, and almost it feels pained that he's up there answering questions. He was asked about it. He goes, well, we just have to get better at it. It's unacceptable. Yeah. But he's not giving us a clue as to what is going on, what is happening with these players who have shown the ability to tackle before. Adrian Amos and Eddie Jackson. Eddie Jackson had the reputation at Alabama at not being a good tackler, but when he came here in his rookie season, his tackling was good. Now that John Fox is gone, his tackling is worse. What the hell is going on here? This is really, really frustrating, and it's frustrating when Vic Fangio doesn't give us a straight answer to these questions, and I hope that the media, those guys that are paid to be our mouthpiece, I hope that they go up there on Thursday and they really lay it into Vic Fangio and not take any of this bull crap from him about these vague answers about what are some of the problems with this team. Let's get the lowdown here. And you're not going to be giving away deep down secrets if you tell us, well, this guy that has a soft hammy and that's probably why he's not. Who cares? The other team is seeing the film. They know how to attack these guys. So it's crap to me that we're not getting full explanations for that. We're the stockholders of this football team. We deserve answers. I understand that you don't want to give away competitive advantage and stuff, but we need to know certain things. And what we're seeing on the football field is not acceptable. And what we're hearing from the coaches is unacceptable too. Now, having said that, go ahead. You got a thought.
No, I'm saying New England came in this game without Gronk, right? So you knew in order to win this game, you have to control their two big playmakers, right? And to me, that is James White, the running back, and Josh Gordon, the receiver. So, and what happens? Gordon ends up with 4 receptions for 100 yards, with a big 54-yard catch that gets him down, I believe, to the 1-yard line. And then James White, combined has almost 100 yards rushing and receiving with 2 touchdowns. These were the 2 big play guys. These are the 2 guys you need to concentrate on. And these guys still were able to manage to get off and have big games. So that's another thing that kind of troubled me in terms of what the defense did today. Obviously, in terms of sacks and pressure, we know Khalil Mack is not 100%. We know he doesn't have the same burst that he had a couple weeks ago. But that doesn't mean that the other guys can't do anything. Like I said, besides Nichols, no one else flashed to me. No one else, did anything. I know Eddie Gilman was credited with the stack, but I mean, no one else really did anything. Leonard Floyd, you got to step up. Leonard Floyd, you got to bring that pressure. What would we do without Khalil Mack on this team? What kind of pressure would we be generating? Stuff like that's really, really disappointing. And don't tell me that the Patriots have a great offensive line in terms of pass blocking and all that stuff. How about the run defense? How about in that fourth quarter when you're trying to get the ball back and twice James White gets the first down, running the ball? How about stuffing those guys and getting the ball back, sooner than he did? So again, it's they didn't have a great game. They didn't have a horrible game either. But also, it just left you wanting more in terms of the defense unit as a whole. You just expect more from them.
One of the things that worries me about this defense is similar to what we saw happen during the Mark Trestman era, and that is that you've got a head coach who is focused on the offense, and Nagy readily admits, that he, has delegated everything to Fangio because he's a rookie head coach, and while he's asking questions and giving some input, this is basically Fangio's thing. But what worries me is that when Nagy is talking about this football team, it's so offensively focused that I wonder if the players on the defense aren't creating that same kind of animosity towards the head coach that the defensive players under the Bears and those Trestman years had towards him. Those defensive players had no respect for Mark Trestman. None.
Well, besides that, I also think they knew that Mel Tucker was in over his head as well. I think
he was forced to run Lovey's defense. That was the first mistake in that whole thing. If you're going to bring in Mel Tucker, let him run his own defense. Don't tell him to run Lovey's defense. That's ridiculous.
But still, I agree with you. But still, they knew Tucker was in over his head, right? Here, these players have a respect for Fangio. I mean, they were all, to a man, excited. Beyond belief that he was able to stay. They was able to retain him, and he was back again. So I don't think that's in play here in terms of the same comparison. Because again, I think they all respect and play hard for Fangio. It's a matter of going out there and executing. Really. I mean, there's so much that he can do in terms of play call and all this stuff, and we can disagree in terms of some of the defensive alignments or opening up in nickel as opposed to opening with base defense and so on and so forth. But it comes down to execution, and the players simply are not executing at this moment right now. Whether some are dealing with some injuries that we're not aware of, But like perfect example, Eddie Jackson. That missed tackle again. He went high on Josh Gordon and missed a tackle, and Gordon breaks free and he goes for 54 yards. You're a safety. You're the last line of defense, and I'm a big Eddie Jackson fan, right? So I'm not here to bash Eddie Jackson, but just it's 2 weeks in a row now he's missed some key tackles, right? Adrian Amos. The interception that Kyle Fuller gets towards the end of the game. If Amos just looks at the ball or looks for the ball instead of concentrating on the guy, he can probably pick that off and run in for a pick six. What happens is he goes for the guy. Luckily, the fullback Devlin juggles the ball, pops up in the air, and Kyle Fuller picks it off. So if it wasn't for that, that's another probably first down conversion there. So again, the safeties have to play better. They have to execute their assignments better. I think everyone has to do a better job, especially up front. Is Hicks playing with an injury that we don't know about? I know he was nursing an injury in preseason. Is that knee injury flared up again? Because he hasn't been as effective as he was the first couple weeks of the season as well. So I don't know. It's there's a lot of questions there. Unfortunately, not enough answers. There's some things that go on possibly behind the scenes that we're not privy to. And but again, it's the tackling. Fortunately, I think Fuller and Amukamara had decent games in terms of coverage. A couple times Fuller made some nice plays, knocking the ball away from Edelman for a possible first down. Amukamara made a nice tackle for loss on a key third down play. So at least the corners are playing a little bit better. But again, it's something that they just gonna have to execute better on the field. I wish I knew what the answer was, but unfortunately, it's just something. I don't know if they're just, like I said, reading their press clippings, thinking they're better than they actually are. Not putting in enough work. I'm not sure, but the tackling has to get shortened up. The tackling has to get shortened up, and somehow, some way, we cannot just keep relying on Khalil Mack to provide a pass rush. We can't say, well, Mack's hurt, no pass rush. No, we need to provide a pass rush And if it's not going to be Floyd, Isaiah Irving's dressed the last couple of games, but I just see him playing on special teams. I'm not saying he's the answer, but hey, you know what? He might not be any worse. We'll put him out there, see what he can do. Kylie Fitz has been, on inactive all 6 games. If Floyd's not producing, if someone else is not producing, let's put some other guys in there. Let's see what they can do.
What I found the most disappointing about Leonard Floyd today was, forget about the fact that he's, not generating a pass rush. It's his pass defense with guarding players on routes. He looked horrible. Horrible. And if you're not if you can't generate a pass rush, then you should at least be able to guard a running back coming out of the backfield and not get fooled by a simple head fake or shoulder fake. It was pathetic. To me, this Leonard Floyd game was the most disappointing that I can remember. I made excuses for him the first few games of the season because of the club and all this stuff, but this guy is regressing. He's not getting any better, and we need to do something to kick him in the butt. And to your point, it's time maybe we start to take away some of his snaps so that somebody fires him up. There's always been something very docile about the guy in post-game interviews. He's very soft-spoken and so forth. And when Khalil Mack came here with the kind of junkyard dog mentality, I was really hopeful that would rub off on Leonard Floyd. But we haven't seen that out of Floyd. He still remains this kind of puppy dog, this cub. He's not a bear, he's a cub. And I'm getting fed up with it. We need these guys to produce, because if not, the defense is going to fall apart. And what we thought was going to be the strength of this team in 2018 is going to be a liability. We cannot have this continue. We've got to see it change next week against the Jets. Now, let's talk about special teams, because what I saw out of Patrick O'Donnell was I thought he regressed. Chris Tabor, the special teams coach, had worked with O'Donnell to shorten up his stride before punting the ball, and it looked like he went back to the old technique of taking 30 steps before he launches the ball. I think it was you on Twitter was saying, yeah, they're getting closer and closer to blocking this. Or maybe it was Lauren Cox from BearsWire.com who mentioned it. But yeah, it started to become pretty obvious that a block was going to come because of O'Donnell was taking so long to get rid of the ball.
I think he might be the slowest punter in terms of getting rid of the ball in the league. I mean, he literally, like you said, takes his time. It's like there's no one generating a rush up against him, and like you said, it was just a matter of time where someone got him. And sure enough, it was today of all days where you can't afford to give up an extra touchdown like that. And then plus and on top of that, you generate a turnover on special teams, getting that fumble from Cordero Patterson, and then you give up a kickoff return for him for a touch. I mean, I don't think he was even touched. I mean, he just basically ran right through the whole wedge. It seemed like they all came down to the one side of the field, and he just kind of cut through and got out there and cut off to the other side and had daylight. And then we have our kicker trying to chase him down. Like, good luck. He was gone. So two big key turning points in the game were those two touchdowns on special teams. Those were just backbreakers.
Now, having said all this about
we haven't got to the part where Nagy doesn't have confidence to even try a 58-yard field goal at the end of the first half. We know Parky Pie wasn't going to make it, but you have 1 second left. Go out there and try your best and see if you can make this field goal. But I don't know if it's because, he don't want to hurt the psyche of his kicker because he missed last week's game-winning field goal and he doesn't want to miss another one. Yeah, I don't know if that was playing in effect, but at least try it. At least try the field goal.
I think what he said in the post-game conference was, number one, there was a breeze coming out of that side of the stadium, and he insinuated that Cody wasn't hitting the kicks in pregame on that side of the field like he was on the opposite side of the field. So that was number one. Number two, they wanted to kind of take a chance and throw that underneath pass because, as Nagy said, on some of those plays, sometimes you get a face mask call, you get a penalty on the defense, and that would have helped to move the ball up for Parkey to get a closer field goal attempt. So that was the strategy behind Nagy's decision not to kick that field goal. I don't really have that big of a problem with that. You know, Parkey's got some limitations as a kicker, and those wins at Soldier Field are going to be a test for him at times. So I don't really care too much that Nagy made that decision. My complaints with special teams has more to do with execution than coaching decisions. I still believe in Chris Tabor, the special teams coach. I still believe that, you know, this team can come around. And I was going to say, despite all this laundry list of negatives that happened in this game, I still have faith in this team. I still believe that these things can be quickly turned around. I do believe that this team is going to beat the New York Jets, and we're going to start a winning streak after that, and we're going to get back on track. It's just a matter of making sure these players execute, because we have a laundry list of all the coaching issues and so forth, but basically it still gets down to the players executing what they're asked to do by this coaching staff. You agree? Exactly.
That's what I said earlier. It all comes down, we could scream here and holler about coverages, about blitzing, not blitzing, in terms of kicking and not kicking, but it all comes down, like you just said, to execution. The coaches will call the play. It's if these players go out there and execute, their run fits, complete their tackles, bring the guy down, complete their assignments on offense in terms of blocking, in terms of running your routes and completing the passes. This all will get better. Trust me. I'm not down on the Bears as well. We're just looking at this game and really what cost them this game was those two special teams touchdowns. And up until this point, special teams hasn't been off the charts great, but they also haven't been terrible either. So I'm willing to say, all right, this is just one game in which they just kind of just really wet the bed on it on special teams. But it's just in this game, playing against this team, even without one of their better offensive weapons in Gronkowski, you just could not afford to give them 2 touchdowns off of special teams. That was just killer.
It was a killer, very frustrating game. All 3 losses have been so frustrating because clearly the Chicago Bears could have won those games. This team could be undefeated. And
6-0. It could be 6-0.
It exactly. Really, really could be, guys. So
there was no one game where I thought the Bears were, overmatched or anything like that. Even this game, coming in with New England,
yep.
I had a feeling they were going to be in there, and they were in there. And at one point, they had a 17-7 lead over these guys. So, it's not like these guys, Bears, came in intimidated or anything like that. They felt like they could compete and win this game. And they went out and they were down, pretty much to the last second, right? If Kevin White makes that catch and just, nudges himself into the end zone for 1 yard, we could be, going into overtime and who knows what happens there. But, again, not down on the team at all, frustrated, upset with the loss. Yes. Especially, coming on the heels of last week's loss where they should have won that game last week. Now, they come into this, this game and they lose this game where they could have won as well. It's just back-to-back weeks where you're left, frustrated, but not without hope. Although I still have hope. Like I said, these 2 games coming up are very winnable. I hate using the term must win, but I think, these next 2 games might be must wins if you're thinking seriously about competing for division and a playoff spot down the road. So, but definitely games that, I think the Bears open up at 6-point favorites next week against the Jets. So, but yeah, definitely disappointed, but not giving up here. So this team is still young, still developing, and I think still getting better. I just wish some of these players that we pointed out on defense, like Leonard Floyd and some of the other guys, would step up their games and help, make up for the ineffectiveness of Khalil Mack due to his injury.
Danny, after every game that the Bears lose, you get really frustrated, just like all of us diehard Bears fans who are lovers of Bears Barroom. We all have that one thing in common. The Bears lose and we want to do something, illegal, something criminal. What did you want to do today? Who did you want to hit?
It's one thing to lose to get blown out, to lose by 20 or 30 points. All right, you had no chance. But these one score games really get you sitting, all right, man, if this could have happened at this point, if this could happen at this point, if this would happen here, you could have won this game. This is what really gets me, and that's why I sit down and I break down the game. I'm like, man, if this could have happened here, if he hit this guy in stride here, this could have been a touchdown. This is what really gets to me, and the fact that I hate seeing back-to-back losses because each week is a week, it's a game of its own, obviously, and it's also a key start to a new trend, to a new momentum. And to do a back-to-back, losses really hurts. So that's why now you got to turn it around and got to get back on the winning train to build that positive momentum again as you head down, towards a mid to late portion of the season. But those one score losses really eat at me, and because you always go back and nitpick. All right, if this could happen here, this could have happened there, this could have been a different outcome. But again, these are the losses that really I'm sure same to you and a bunch of other Bear fans out there, just really eat at me internally.
Yep, they eat at me, away at me too. Fortunately, we've got a great sponsor who's going to help us get over this with their promotion. TixBlitz.com. All you got to do is hit the promo code FLASH5. Every ticket, every venue, everywhere. TixBlitz.com. You save 5% with that promo code. I want to thank you, Danny, and I want to tell our listeners that Bears Hour Live with Draft Dr. Phil comes back here on Monday, 9 p.m. Central. I think Mark Schofield is going to be his guest. Mark is a Trubisky savant. He studies Mitch Trubisky, and so he's going to have some interesting things to say about how that quarterback looked against Tom Brady's or Bill Belichick's Patriots. On Wednesday, on your podcast stream, it's Bears 100 Proof. Should be a wild one. On Wednesday night, Buffon 55. And then on Thursday, it's the Fantasy Football Goon Show. And at Thursday night, it's Let's Talk It Out with Trey Busy. On Friday, it's Mike North Advantage. I'm not sure how he did today in his picks. I have to take a look at that. And, of course, Sunday, the pregame show, the Barflight Tailgate Show. If you missed that one today, wow, you missed a good one. 3 hours of talk. These guys really brought it big time. Danny, you got a closing word?
Other than just, like I said, disappointing loss back-to-back weeks, but, it's a new week next week. The team is getting better. We just like to see them shore up some things on defense, continue to get better, continue to progress on offense. Again, don't want to be negative or anything like that, and I don't want to have a negative connotation to my voice in terms of Trubisky, but the guy contributed 3 touchdowns today, right? 2 passing and 1 rushing, so let's not forget that. He has some accuracy issues on field, which is fine. That's going to get better hopefully over time. So just want to make sure that all the Bears fans continue to get those positive thoughts. The team's getting better. We're not we didn't give up a 50 burger like we've done before in the past with the Patriots.
Right.
So. It's still a positive for this team going forward, and I really think that they shore up some of these things and they play, like we said, play a full game. I think we're going to continue to see some growth and some wins down the line.
Michael in the chat room reminds us that Tom Brady has never lost to the Bears, but you know what, Michael? It's going to happen at the Super Bowl. That's right. We'll beat him in the Super Bowl. Remember, if you drink, please do not drive. That's why I am safely here at home. And always, bear down!